All right. So Joey Ruffalo joins us today. We're really excited to have him here. Joey is a financial coach. You can find him at his website, jrfinancialcoaching.com. And he's also an online seller and has been on the eBay for Business podcast multiple times. He's also a YouTuber and a podcaster.
Other interesting tidbits about Joey. Joey is a money mindset financial coach. This is amazing. He's paid $370,000 in personal debt and has over $1 million in debt paid off by his clients. He's also a Ramsey preferred coach and now a best-selling author. Congratulations on that and everything. But welcome to the show, Joey. Good to see you again.
Thank you guys for having me here. I really appreciate it.
It's awesome. Very impressive. So, how did you discover online selling?
So we started selling on eBay back in 2000. It was a great place for us to get unique, one-of-a-kind gifts for each other and also for stuff for our collections. I was big into sports cards, still am to an extent. So eBay was a great place to go to complete your collections. I'm a completionist. So inserts, numbered cards, you try to get everything. So eBay was a place to go for all that. It was also a great place to sell off your doubles to get money to buy the stuff you needed. We've sold off and on over the years. Finally became serious in about 2017. And we still sell sports cards, video games, CDs, collectibles, jersey, whatever, everything. I say basically anything that will sell, and in reality, anything sells on eBay. So anything goes.
So on the other side, how did you get into financial planning?
Until the pandemic in 2020, my wife and I owned a pretty successful pet sitting and dog walking business.
Okay.
Since about 2003, so about 17 years. Pandemic kind of shut that down. Everybody was at home. 2007, 2008, during that last financial crisis, while we were trying to stay afloat, we ended up in a lot of debt. 2006 was a great year for us. We had several contractors working for us. Everything was going well. Then things kind of changed, and trying to find myself borrowing to maintain a lifestyle that we couldn't afford. And that's how we ended up in about $370,000 in debt, credit cards, student loans, vehicles, everything. That whole process left me personally broke, scared, and feeling helpless. Of course, it was ridiculous. Every night going to bed, lived in an apartment complex, and I tell a story about when I would go to sleep at night, any kind of truck that would drive through the complex, whether it was somebody else that lived there or whatever it was, it's just a loud truck, I always thought my truck was getting repoed. So I never could sleep through the night. It was just this anxiety that was in there. One day I was driving home, I'm listening to the radio, and I heard Dave Ramsey in his radio show. And it happened to be a caller where he was telling them to fight back against collectors on the phone.
Okay.
And to that point, I was scared of them and doing whatever they said. And I realized that I had a lot more power than they did in certain situations. So that gave me the realization that I could fight back and a little sense of like, okay, I'm more in control now. So then we got on a plan and we crawled our way back out. And we did things like side hustles. This is where side hustles became a really important part of our life. So that's like grocery delivery, driving for Uber, Amazon Flex, and of course selling on eBay, and even mystery shopping. Mystery shopping was huge because when we were in debt and couldn't go out to eat, but we go out to mystery shop, get a free meal, and get paid for it. It was great. Hotels, stuff like that. It was awesome. And so going through that process, we did it virtually alone. It was myself, my wife, and a few other people in a small group, but it was basically just us. And after we got done, I said, I don't want anybody else to have to go through that alone. Like, I know that what we went through was tough and scary. And if I had somebody to lean on and talk to that kind of understood what I was going through, I might have made it a little bit better. So that's why I figured out, like, how can I help others and what do I need to accomplish to lead me into financial planning and financial coaching. And that's kind of took me down that path.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. So tell us about the transformation within Words of Wisdom from a collection of coaches to help you win at the game of life and the successes you've seen.
Yeah, so this is a new book that came out. I was contacted by one of my fellow co-authors and asked if I would lend my voice to a multi-author project. So this is a multi-author book. There's 18 different authors in here. And I'm still developing my writing style, and I thought, it's a great opportunity to get something out there and a wider reach that would help me, like, at least put pen to paper and get my thoughts out there, you know. So I felt, let me give it a shot. 18 coaches, like I said, different disciplines. There's spiritual coaches, there's personal trainers, relationship coaches, mindset. There's a couple of life coaches, and of course, financial coaches, which is great. And really, really, like, blown away by the success so far with it. It happened to reach #1 bestseller status in Australia, Canada, and the United States.
Wow.
So that technically means an international #1 best-selling author you're talking to right now.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, 17 different categories over in throughout those countries. And fun tidbit, we ended up #2 in the UK, and #1 was the Michelle Obama book. So we couldn't quite pass Michelle Obama in the UK. But what I really liked about being a part of this was that all the proceeds from the book went to charity. The charity is called LMU Girls. It helps girls in Kenya and women in Kenya achieve financial freedom and self-worth by becoming community leaders and entrepreneurs. So it gets them away from whatever's happening over there and their struggles, and gives them a sense of purpose in a life outside of what they're born into. So it's a really great opportunity to just give back, but also kind of give a little bit of my story and a little bit of how I became a coach, my coaching styles in here, and a little bit of the backstory of how I got encouraged as a young age to see what transformation was like by helping my dad out. My dad was blind, and helping him through the transition of being his guide to learning that he didn't need me as a guide. He needed to guide himself, but still rely on other people. And that sort of helped me decide with my coaching style when I work with people is like, I walk alongside them rather than drag them as a guide. I walk with them. That's the approach I take.
Love it.
And then we know that you have a new book coming out called An eBay Seller's Guide to Financial Planning. So tell us about that and what is covered in that book.
Oh yeah, this one is a labor of love, right? So I wrote this book a few years ago as a project for my MBA, and I sat it on the shelf.
Okay.
It was one of those things where, I don't know if you've ever seen the Rocky movies. I always use this example. Nobody's ever seen the one I'm talking about, but it's the last one where he's fighting the computer version. He's really old, and he goes back to fight an exhibition fight. It's just called Rocky Balboa, and he's really old. Adrian's passed away. He's got the restaurant. He's trying to make amends with his son. And he goes to Paulie, and Paulie says, "Why are you doing this?" He goes, "I still got something left. Still got something left inside," right? And when he's done with the fight, he goes, "It's empty. There's nothing left. He got it all out of his system." That's how I felt with the book. I wrote it. I got it all out of my system. And then I said, I really want to put this out. But I every time I went back to edit it and reread it, I just was like, I don't want to deal with this. It's done. It's out of my head. It's over.
Yeah.
So eventually I sat down and I re-edited it. And basically how it came about originally was I conducted research in a lot of the different reselling Facebook groups. Because I was doing this while I was reselling, when I picked up reselling again full time, and I was getting my financial planning certifications, and I was using eBay and reselling to pay for that. Okay. But also I saw a business model in there for the eBay sellers, right? So I did this research and found that many of the people, they were concerned about their financial future, but also didn't know how to accomplish the goals.
Okay.
There were a lot of sellers who were concerned about the here and now of selling and not the long-term game plan. Yep. Always worried about the next score, the next hit, the next thing, but never worried down the line. Yep. Now, this is where it gets interesting, so bear with me. There's a little math here. In 2018, eBay released their impact report. And in that impact report, they had registered 6 million sellers in the United States alone. Now, it's probably higher now. Again, this is 2018. Sellbright.com did a survey that said around that time that 71% of businesses fail in 10 years. That's just business in general. But with e-commerce businesses, 65% fail in the first 18 months. Wow. And 90% fail in the first 5 years. In that same impact report, eBay said out of the 6 million registered users, 4.8 million were considered full-time. So if you do the math on the failure rate, you're talking about 3.1 million failing in the first 18 months and 4.3 failing in the first 5 years. So there's a lot of room for improvement through education. What I try to cover in the book is the basics of financial planning. So cash flow, inventory management, operating without debt, basic investing principles, retirement planning, estate planning and succession planning. You also learn what your seller independence number is and how to calculate it, which is fun. And this is for any type of reseller. It's not just eBay, but a lot of the examples I use and comments are eBay related. So you can use this plan throughout, but so the examples are mostly eBay. That's why it's an eBay seller's guide.
I've read the first 2 chapters. They're great. So I'm excited to learn more.
Yeah. And I heard a rumor that Griff from eBay wrote the foreword. Is that true?
Yes, that is true.
And how did that come about?
Well, I always like to say I mustered the courage to ask him.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah. I'll preface this by saying, and everybody knows this about Griff. I love Griff. Everybody loves Griff. Love everybody. So I have a ton of respect for him and where he is in the community and how he's perceived, and everything with his just reputation is just stellar.
Yeah.
And I used to attend the eBay meetups in San Jose at eBay headquarters.
Okay.
And Griff was there almost all the time. So I spent a lot of one-on-one time with Griff. And like you said earlier, I was fortunate enough to be on the podcast a few times. We always used to get along well before and after the show, talk all the time. And so I sent him a copy of the book, and I just said, hey, look, I'm writing this book. This is what it is. Can you just look at it? Tell me what you think. And I would love if, you would possibly write the foreword for it. And he got back to me and he said, absolutely, no problem. And so I knew for me, if he was attached to it, it gave it some validity, and which is what I wanted with this, to get out to people, to at least pick up a copy, look at it, and implement some of the strategies and tips that are in there to help them grow their business, not just for the next few months, but for the next several decades.
Yeah, congratulations on that.
Thanks.
And so we deal with a lot of sellers across the board, multiple platforms. Do you have one piece of financial advice you can offer online sellers across the board?
Yes, it's going to seem basic, but yes. The most important thing to realize is that there's no one size fits all plan, but the key here is to have a plan. So many just wing it and don't plan for the long term. It's just like when I work with clients and we're getting out of debt. So I work with them, and the first thing we do is a budget session. And the budget to me is like the foundation on which your financial health is built. You have to have a strong budget, and then everything else is built on top of it. Same thing in business, having a strong business plan, whether that includes a business budget or just a plan in general. It's your guide. It's something you refer back to. I always feel like when you put down your goals in writing or on paper, it's out there to look at, and you have to kind of live up to them and accept them and kind of try to reach them. If it's all in your head, sometimes you can't remember and you get jumbled and jarbled, and it's just like, well, maybe I said this, maybe I wanted to do it this way. No, put it down on paper and just have a plan. When you do that, I always like to say it changes your mindset from an online seller to a business owner that sells products online. And that's a big difference between the two of them. And when you have that mindset and that thought process, you will be successful, and you won't be one of those 90%.
That's really good. Some good information, especially we don't think about retirement, and it suddenly is here. So
yeah, I like to tell some of my clients too. It's like I don't want to have to sell in retirement. I want to sell in retirement because I like to sell. I don't have to rely on it for income. If I build up enough now at my younger age, or even so put stuff away and just have a sense of what I need later on, then I can make that plan and really decide, like, do I want to have to continue a reselling business when I'm 70 or 75 or 80 to make ends meet, or am I doing it for the fun of it?
That's right. I love that. So what's next for you then?
Some more writing. I got to find my voice still and still hone my little niche. Recently, this has happened a few days ago, was recently brought on as an executive contributor for an online magazine called Brains Magazine. It's to provide content in the personal finance and entrepreneurship categories. Okay. So I'll be doing a once a month feature there, sort of hone my craft a little bit. and
Yeah.
then ramping up my podcast and YouTube presence. I laughed earlier because just because I have one or two shows out there doesn't make me a quote unquote podcast or YouTuber, but I'm getting there. You know, I start and stop a bunch of things, but I got a lot of stuff coming up this year where I think it's going to be very informative for people and helpful along the way. And especially with the podcast, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I have a lot of things in the pipeline I think this is going to be really cool for especially this year for people to learn from. I also have some courses that I'm going to be launching the upcoming year too, that'll get people a little sense of budgeting courses and a few eBay related courses or e-commerce related courses that'll help people get the basics going down. And then that's coming soon.
That's fantastic.
That's great. And we'll include, all your links in the show notes. Where can you be found?
What's the song? Here, There, Everywhere? Is that the Beatles song? Yeah, I think so. That's what it is. The best place to reach me is my website, jrfinancialcoaching.com. I am in the process of redesigning it. It's up there now, but a whole redesign is coming soon. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited to share with everybody. It's going to be a real resource for people that are looking for financial or reselling questions. It's going to be amazing. I'm also very active on Instagram at JR Financial Coach. You can reach me there. I have a link in my bio there that takes you to where you can find everything, my podcast links, YouTube links, articles. But I like to say I'm a DM, phone, text, email away, so don't be shy.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, I can't wait to look you up. I'm definitely going to follow your journey.
Oh,
But
thank you.
where can we find your books?
So both are on Amazon.com. Transformation Within is available in Kindle and paperback. An eBay Seller's Guide to Financial Planning will be available in a Kindle pre-order soon, and then paperback shortly thereafter. It's going to be discounted for a limited time around launch. I like to say, honestly, get both versions. Please, thank you very much. Please and thank you, as Ron Swanson would say. But there's resources that are going to be in the book that you can read, but there's a links in there that you can click on the Kindle version. I'll take you to a special part of my website that has these downloadable resources for you to follow along in the book. And then for updates, just follow me on Instagram right now, or you can email me and I'll add you to my newsletter with any sort of update that might be coming out soon.
Good.
Oh, that's a great resources. And thank you for being a great resource for the seller community
Absolutely.
and putting all this
Appreciate
out
it.
there.
Yeah, no worries, guys. I appreciate your opportunity here.
Yeah. Anything to add?
Like I said earlier, it's about mindset. It's about change, right? So again, going back to those Facebook groups that where I did these surveys in and reading some of the comments, and the end of each chapter, I don't remember if you remember, Doug, from the end of each chapter, I have a questions from social media section.
Yeah.
And basically it's related to that chapter. So it's a tax question or a retirement question. And these are based on real questions that were asked in Facebook groups. And some of these are outrageous. Like I remember one time, it was probably 2 or 3 months after the whole fidget spinner died down, the whole craze died down. And this guy was real excited because he just ordered $10,000 worth of fidget spinners and didn't know how to flip them. And he was going to lose a ton of money. And that's some of the people that you think about and go, man, you didn't, there's just that planning part of it, right? Not to say you didn't maybe got the right price for it or just not the right product. One tidbit I'll give away is in the book, I talk about, is your business sick? SICK. And that means sales, inventory, customer service, and knowledge. If any one of those is deficient, your business is sick. And so you may have knowledge in a certain category. Like I may know sports cars really well. I write my customers back really great. I'm a great customer service online when it talks to people, but I don't have the inventory to match the sales. I'm not going to do well in business. Yeah. Right. So it's having all 4 elements together. And some people, like in that fidget spinner story, maybe the inventory was there now, but the knowledge of the timing wasn't correct. So that forced his business to not succeed. So little tidbits like that you'll find in the book. And you also get really, like I said, really deep into retirement planning, like how much you could put away and certain plans you should look at as a business owner. And I think that's important to sort of just think that long-term thinking. Yeah. Because we are a business, you are a business. And you should think long-term. If you think in the here and now, you're not going to succeed. It's just, you're in and out, you're done, you've made your flash in the pan. But if you really want it to be a business and you really do that long-term thinking.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm inspired. I am totally inspired. So I can't thank you enough for being here today.
Well, I appreciate
and when's the book out?
So the pre-release, I just got the cover design approved again today. I had a little snafu with the eBay logo on my original cover that I griffed. So So
Oh,
honestly pointed out to me that,
Yeah.
hey man,
yep.
you can't, did you get that approved? And I said, oh,
Do it.
I'm supposed to.
Yep.
So I had to run that back. I just got it in today, so it's going to be up for a pre-release on Amazon as of when this is on live, whenever this is ready to go.
Okay.
Oh.
It'll be up there. Just type in my name. If you can't remember the book, just type my name in the search
Perfect.
engine and it'll say it.
Well, thanks, Joey. We really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm inspired too. Can't wait to read the book. And then again, we'll include the links in the show notes. And Joey can be found at jrfinancialcoaching.com. And then pretty much across the board, JR Financial Coaching on social media.
Yep. It's either coach or coaching on some of the platforms, but you'll find me. You see my big mug everywhere.
Well, good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. And we'll talk again.